Welcome to the Body Smart Podcast, where we remove roadblocks to fitness and health to empower you to master your health habits. We help you become Body Smart.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Body Smart Vodcast. I'm Dr. Cameron Garber, and I am here with a special guest today, Sherry Shepard. She is a woman of many shoes. So instead of many hats, it's many shoes, because she's a running coach, she's a piano teacher, as well as a trainer at Gold's Gym in Kaysville. And so she has an Instagram kind of blog and Instagram page called The Piano Runner. Awesome stuff, very inspirational, some of her posts. And so I wanted to invite her on. We recently did a metabolic test and it was awesome to see her results. She really killed it and just so fun to see. And so in just some of our conversations with that and in reading her blog, I was just inspired about some of the things she talked about and said, and I wanted to be able to share that with my audience. And so thanks so much for watching this episode of the Body Smart Podcast, and I want to introduce you to Sherry Shepard. So Sherry, tell us a little bit more about how you became the piano runner. Tell us your origin story, as it were. Yeah.
Okay, well, first of all, music was kind of my first love.
Yeah.
I've played the piano for pretty much my entire life.
Awesome.
And I mean, I used to get out of household chores when I was growing up because my mom liked to hear me play and I was always practicing. So,
see, kids, you can get out of chores if you practice the piano.
That's right. So that's my first love.
Yeah.
And I've taught piano for 20 years, probably.
Awesome.
I did release an album in 2009 called Solitude, which is piano solos.
That's great.
It's kind of on my to-do list to do another one, but kids and life and everything.
Right. It's always a balancing act.
Yeah, of course, yeah. So I do have 5 kids.
Oh, fun. I left that out.
Crazy.
That's a whole nother set of many shoes
yes,
there,
I'm
right?
a mama, too. So after I had my third baby, all of my babies I had postpartum depression. Mm. And by the time the third one came along in 3.5 years, I was kind of desperate. And so she came along and and I didn't like the antidepressants. I didn't like how they made me feel. And so I decided to just take my double stroller with my 3 babies in it around the little track at the park and just kind of fell in love. And I could run half a mile. I mean, and then just
whatever you could get in.
Yeah. And so when my baby was 4 months old, I decided to sign up for a 5K.
Awesome.
And it's really funny. It took me 42 minutes. I had to do a potty break in the middle, but I loved it. And I just felt so much joy. And that just was the beginning for me.
That sense of accomplishment, huh?
Yes.
That seemed to like kick it off.
Yes.
That's awesome.
So I just kept going further and further and further. I finally ran my first marathon at the age of 30 in 2008. And I've done 20 marathons since then.
Oh my goodness.
A lot of other distances. So
that's crazy. That's awesome.
It just brought me joy. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. And then in 2014, I got certified to become a trainer. All the way through that whole experience, while I was running, I was also going to the gym and kind of fell in love with lifting weights at the same time. And I really just wanted to share it with other people. So I decided to get certified.
Awesome. So it seems like you're kind of a teacher by nature. Piano.
Yeah.
Like you love to teach your passions as well as do them.
Yeah.
So awesome. Mm-hmm. So running coach and then trainer as well as piano teacher. Teaching seems to be something you really love to do. Where did that come from? That teaching passion, I guess.
I think part of it is I'm the second oldest of 8 kids.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah. My wife's from a big family, so she kind of does the same thing in her family a bit.
Yeah, and I don't know, I think if I feel a passion for something, maybe I'm an empath or something, I just want to share it. If I feel excited about something, I want everybody else to do it too. So.
Awesome. Well, makes a lot of sense. That's awesome. Well, so one of the things then that I read in your blog was just kind of about how you were fed up with some of the image of fitness. Like so much of what we see in the fitness world is this very, image-centric message of like you have to look a certain way or be a certain way or things like that. And you were kind of saying, I'm done with that. I'm done with that mentality. I'm done with that world. And that to me was really inspiring. That's a message I try to get across to my patients, my clients, and things to help them understand that fitness should be about more than that. So tell us a little bit more about how you got to that point and kind of what your thoughts and feelings are along those lines.
Well, for one thing, I mean, starting out, of course, I had baby weight to lose.
Sure.
And I found myself kind of stuck. And I've had a lot of clients that feel the same way. I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
I'm focused on this certain number on the scale, and it's not
Right.
happening, and it's very frustrating.
Right.
And also, what does society tell me I'm supposed to look like? Or I go to the gym and I compare myself to all these other fit girls,
Right.
but I don't know what their story is. I don't know how they got there.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I love about running specifically is it is so performance based.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes when you go in the gym, it's really aesthetically based, and it's hard to kind of step out of that.
So true.
And
so true.
Yeah. And so I really like the idea that I'm improving my performance, that I'm getting stronger, that I'm getting fitter, that I'm getting faster, or
Right.
that I'm just feeling healthier.
Right.
And if I focus on that, the other stuff is kind of a byproduct, and it happens
Right.
by itself without really focusing on it. And so,
Right. I love that.
you know, I just really like to see what my body can do and test those limits rather than
Right.
try to see a number on the scale.
Right. And so one thing that I think is really important is when you explained your timeline, you talked, kind of about a 5+ year timeline. It's not like you just went out and started running marathons and all of a sudden, you could do all that, or that all of a sudden you just decided one day I'm going to be a trainer and get really strong and fit and all those things. It kind of was this process that took
Absolutely.
time.
It does take time. Yeah.
Right.
It doesn't happen overnight.
Mm-mm.
And it's easy to get frustrated because you really want it right now. I mean, that's
Right.
just kind of where we're at right now in society.
true.
We just want it right now.
Right.
Here's my phone, I can just look it up on Google,
Right.
It's not that easy.
Right. We all want hacks or tricks or things, and it's not about that.
Right.
It's about that consistency of effort over time, and it takes years. Today I was speaking with a client about how, she said, I did run a half marathon once, but she said, I think I'm, that's years down the road. And I thought maybe it is years down the road, and that's okay. Like you're here where you're at today. Let's shoot for something much smaller. Let's shoot for just exercising consistently, and
Right.
then maybe a 5K, and then
Right.
it's okay that it's going to take time. It's that you're headed in the right direction that's more
exactly
important.
it. And having stepping stones along the way.
Right.
And setting a goal that, maybe your marathon goal is 5 years down the road.
Right.
But maybe even a fast 5K is down the road, but maybe I can just finish a 5K,
Yeah.
or maybe I can just, have those stepping stones so that you can feel accomplished and feel successful along the way.
Right. I so agree that you've got to have those things that you've built in as goals, sometimes micro goals, but goals that lead you towards something bigger. And the something bigger really doesn't matter what it is. It's just that you're headed in a direction towards a healthier, happier life.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you help your clients define what their healthy, happy life looks like?
It really is a very personal thing.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that's one of the reasons why, as a trainer, my job is so interesting because everybody's so different, and I can't just give everybody the same cookie cutter. Whoops.
Oh, yeah.
Knock over my water.
Yeah.
The same cookie cutter plan,
Yeah.
because everybody's goals are so different. Everybody's body, the way it reacts to the stimulus is
Definitely.
different. And
Yeah.
so it's really just very personal. I talk to them. I know I've had clients that have dealt with the same thing I have with
Yeah.
depression, and we find something that just brings them joy.
Yeah.
So whatever that is, if it's running, great. If it's lifting, great.
Mhm.
It's just whatever's going to make you feel happy.
Right.
And that's really, for me personally, that's the goal. Whether the goal is to run a marathon, that's kind of the secondary goal.
Right.
you
I
know?
agree. To me, I would agree with that wholeheartely. I think the goal should be less about aesthetics, should be less about the number on the scale, should be less about even the marathon per se. I think it's a great goal, but it's not in doing the marathon. It's what that represents.
Absolutely.
It's the fact that I can now do something that's very hard. I can now do something that takes a ton of time and preparation and training. It means that if I look back at my life, where I'm at today is so far different than what it was when I felt unhealthy and sick and bad about myself. And so those types of things are really what the goal should be, is just reframing and restructuring who we are and how we are.
Exactly.
But it happens, like we talked about, through those little steps.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's so important to help people come to that realization. So I guess with that, what changed your mind in terms of what fitness should look like or be like?
I think I've always kind of been more focused on performance.
Sure.
But I do have one experience. It was my 5th baby, and I was super motivated. So motivated. And this is where nutrition kind of comes into play for me.
Yeah.
Because I was working out like crazy, and I was doing my 1,200 calories on FitnessPal, you know what I mean?
Yeah. That they put everybody on.
Makes my eye twitch.
Right.
But what happened for me was I was just stuck. And of course at the time I was kind of focused on losing this X amount of weight.
Right. Had to get back down to, yeah.
I still haven't gotten there, by the way.
Which is
but I am more
totally
fit now
fine.
Than I was.
Yeah.
But what happened is I decided I can't remember exactly what made me think of this, but I decided to try to eat more to fuel my body.
Awesome.
And all of a sudden, the results started happening.
Right.
So I'm a big advocate of using nutrition to fuel versus the other way around. You know, just like, I've got to work it off, you know?
Right. Oh, losing weight through starvation. Losing weight through calorie deficit because of not eating enough always backfires in the long run.
Right.
Can you lose weight that way? Yes. Short term. Is it a good idea? No. It slows your metabolism and you feel miserable, you get hangry.
Right.
All these things. Right. But often when you plateau hard. And so, yeah, I agree. Usually more calories is the answer, not fewer.
To answer your question, the thing that I discovered when I started to feel more, more quality food, was that my performance increased.
That's
that
awesome.
Felt really good. And all of a sudden I'm like, I don't care what the scale says. I can run fast and I can lift a lot of weight. It was really exciting.
That's awesome.
So that's kind of what turned the key for me at that time.
Right. Was seeing the performance, the success, and that the weight on the scale didn't really matter. You were kicking butt.
Yeah. And that's what matters. You just got to kick butt every day.
You're right. No, and it's a process to get there to where you can kick butt every day. But honestly, it's achievable in steps. And as you do that, like, it's awesome to hear of people that have made that transition from, having to take a break on a 5K to like 20 marathons. That's incredible. And so how are your marathon times coming? Faster and faster rather than slower and slower?
Oh yes, faster and faster. I've from my first marathon to my PR marathon, I've cut off 1 hour and 9 minutes.
Wow.
Off of my marathon time.
So here's a question. Which marathon was harder to run?
I don't know. Because I tell you, my first marathon, I was so happy.
Oh, okay. That's awesome.
Thrilled. I was so excited. I was running a 10-minute mile, and I was so happy to be running.
That's
I remember
awesome.
bursting into tears at mile 23 thinking, I am about to finish a marathon. And every marathon, I've had some really bad ones where I haven't felt that way.
Most people have.
But there is something about the marathon specifically and about endurance running that is so spiritual. And I think that's one of the reasons why I love it so much. And like you were saying before, I feel like the finish line is really the byproduct. It's the getting fitter, the finish line isn't the goal. The goal is learning about yourself and learning what you've got.
Right.
And the training is what I feel so fulfilled with.
Oh,
because I can see what I've got and I can see what more I can do with myself.
Yeah.
So, and with my body.
Right. And that's so true. The training is really where the testing yourself comes in. So during a marathon, it's a fun experience because there's people lining the marathon route and they're cheering you on. And there's moments of misery for sure, but it's actually a pretty fun environment. A lot of other racers cheering you on. And there's just this big, like, let's get this done feeling. On your training runs, like, you're running 20 miles by yourself, like, out in the middle of nowhere. I run out in West Kaysville often during my marathon training, and it's like
flat. It's more flat.
Flat and hot and boring. And I'm like, I run from Farmington all the way to Layton, and then all the way back up to Fruit Heights, and it's like these big long training runs, and there's nobody cheering me on. There's a car that honks at you occasionally for like running too far into the middle of the road, and it's like, if you knew how far I'd run, you would not be honking. Right. But like, those are the moments where you really do prove to yourself, like, I can do this. I can do hard things. as not fun as it is in moments, like being able to look back and say 6 months ago or 6 years ago or whatever that is, I couldn't do that. Like there's no way I could have finished this. That's pretty fun to be able to learn that about yourself.
That's true.
So one of the big qualifications I have for whether or not someone is healthy, and this is what I try and teach my patients, is when somebody asks you to do something, an activity, what is your first thought? Is it, oh, I don't know if my feet can do this, or I don't know if my knees could do that, or, oh, I've kind of had this or that going on. If that's your first thought is, ooh, can my body do this? Then you're not really healthy, right? That there's something unhealthy about your lifestyle, or just your condition right now. And so you can be fit, but not necessarily always healthy even.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so that's something that I really try to push with people is, let's get you to a place where you can be truly healthy, where somebody can say, hey, let's go climb King's Peak. And it's like, all right, let's do it. And your first thought is, when can I fit that in my schedule, rather than, rather than can my body accomplish that? Mm-hmm. And so that's such a freeing feeling when you really feel like I could pretty much do just about anything somebody asked me to do, physically. And that's a great, very freeing spot. And it takes time and it takes a lot of consistency to get there. But it really is a measure of health that's beyond just a weight on the scale. I know a lot of people that are thin or, may look great in their swimsuit, but you ask them to climb even a small peak here in the valley and they can't do it.
Right.
And so to me, it's not necessarily fit and it's really not healthy.
Right.
And so, I don't know, have you seen that same thing, I guess, with your clients? That same kind of like mentality shift from it being less about aesthetics and more about what I can do and who I can be?
I think so. I mean, it's something that I'm constantly preaching.
Yeah.
And they probably get tired of hearing it from me.
Sure.
But I do have one client in particular who has been frustrated for years about weight loss, and it's just not happening for her. And she was really frustrated, but she started doing a little bit of running, but she has fallen in love with heavy lifting. I mean,
awesome.
This girl is a beast. She
That's
can
awesome.
lift so heavy, and it's so inspiring to me.
Yeah.
And that's something that we've worked through. I mean, there really is a psychology and a little bit of, what's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know.
I can't think of the word, but I guess the psychology is the word I'm looking for until it comes to me. But of the mental part of fitness and proving to yourself what you can do.
Right.
And adjusting your goals accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, so maybe the scale is not going to move. Maybe I'm just going to look the way I look, and that's what my body wants to do. But dang it can lift heavy, or it can run fast, or it can run long, or it can run tall mountains, and that should be the focus for everybody. Right. And I really think that if you focus on improving that, the other stuff may or may not happen, but you'll feel good about yourself and you'll feel healthy, and that's what matters.
And that totally is what matters. And more often than not, in that journey of improving yourself and doing your personal best, you do see the other things kind of fall into place. Mm-hmm. When that becomes less of the stress of your working out and you start enjoying the process more, usually those are just collateral things that kind of happen along with it. You start to see the progress, and it's like, oh, I guess this does work when I stop stressing about that one thing. Right. And it's amazing to see that transition in people's lives when they really start living a fit and healthy lifestyle instead of just, focusing on the scale and beating themselves up. How often do you see that? People that are just like emotionally beat down by this fitness journey?
Really, really often. I mean, especially in the gym setting, because I feel like, sorry, my nose is itchy.
No, you're fine.
In the gym setting, I feel like there is more of a focus on what I look like. I'm trying to lose weight for this vacation or my daughter's wedding, or and
see that all the time.
My question for those people is, okay, then what next? What's next after that?
Yeah.
What are you going to focus on after that? And the little crash diets, I'm going to do this diet for 30 days, and I'm like, okay, then what? Yeah. And usually it's like,
well, that was the goal. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so, I mean, really it's about creating a lifestyle
right.
of being healthy and being fit, and again, finding joy in the journey. I mean, if you hate exercise, find a different way to exercise.
Right.
Because I have people, I hate running. Running is so boring. I'm like, okay, so don't run. It's okay.
Yeah, you don't have to.
It's my thing. It doesn't have to be your thing.
Right.
You know?
Find something.
Yeah, exactly. Find something. Move your body. That's really what
Right.
I feel like it boils down to is movement. And the body craves movement. I feel like
so true.
Movement heals things.
Everything.
It heals things.
Everything.
I'm preaching to the choir right here.
Right.
You know, but we've talked about that. I think I really believe in movement and aids in healing and nutrition. And I think if you're just dancing, I mean, if you love to Zumba or you love to...
Right. It works.
You know, just shimmy. I don't know, whatever.
No,
I'm not a dancer, so I don't know.
No, me neither. So I've got a sister-in-law that does the high fit. And it's like... Mm-hmm. For those that love that, that's great. Yeah. You know, that's fine. It's more about just moving.
Exactly.
Right? It's just about using those muscles. Our body's really good at doing what we tell it to do. And if we tell it to be a couch potato, it gets really efficient at not moving. Or if we tell it, you know what, I'm going to move. As long as we do so safely and gradually enough, it makes those adaptations over time. And eventually, we can do just about anything. I mean, I did one of these Vodcast episodes about a guy in his 60s that summited Everest. Like, that's amazing, right? Yeah. And he's super fit. He could still out-hike me any day. But how cool is that? That really just taking that step at a time and going after a goal took him years to get there, but he did it, and he summited Everest. Like, there's so many things. It doesn't have to be Everest, though. Your Everest may be, you know, lifting more weight at the gym, or, you know, participating in a CrossFit competition, or whatever that is for you. Mm-hmm. That's fine. It just, you've got to start taking those steps and making it part of your lifestyle, rather than this punishment for bad eating, or this punishment for, you know, having children, which shouldn't be a punishment at all. They're punishment enough sometimes. But you know, that shift in mentality of like, this is what I have to do because I've let myself go, that's not very motivating, right? That doesn't keep you going for very long. And so if you can shift towards that lifestyle, I love what you said there. I think it's golden. The joy in the journey. You've got to find the joy in the journey, because it is a journey and it's going to take time. But when you find that it's fun in certain points, or that you can take joy in some of the many accomplishments along the way. And I think it's important to look back to find joy in the journey. That's one thing I encourage my patients to do all the time, because I shoot for 1 pound a week weight loss, which looking forward, it's like 1 pound a week. That's not a lot. That's really slow. It's like, yeah, but if I told you in 3 months you can be 15 to 20 pounds lighter, you know, that actually sounds like a lot.
Yeah.
You know, if I said to you back at Christmas time, like, it's going to take 6 months, but you'll be, you know, 25, 30 pounds lighter, you'd go, yeah, I'll take that. You know, in June, you'd say 25 pounds since Christmas. That's great. Yeah, exactly. But looking forward, sometimes it's hard to see those goals and how they'll come about. But anyway, it's been awesome talking to you. I love that idea of joy in the journey. And hearing about some of the things that helped you find joy in the journey. Any advice to people out there about how they can find joy in the journey?
Just move. Just get started. And stop making food the enemy.
Yep, agreed.
It's your friend. It's, you know, it's fuel. It's fuel for your body. You put gas in your car. You put food in your body to make it go. And just go and move and find something that you love, and just be happy.
Perfect. Great parting words of advice. Thank you so much. Again, this is Sherry Shepard. We'll drop some links to her blog and her Instagram page down below, so check those out. Super excited to have her on. Thank you so much. And it's been fun exploring her joy in her journey. And we will catch you on the next episode of the Body Smart Vodcast. Thanks for joining.
Thanks for listening to the Body Smart Podcast. Join us in the Body Smart community on Facebook to share your successes or ask a question for our next episode. Now get out there and take the next step toward living your active lifestyle.